The latest advisory is now in on Tropical Storm Nicholas. The center of circulation is about right here as of 10 p.m. Central Time. This is the forecast cone right here. We'll discuss that in just a second. So this is the 10 p.m. advisory. They've changed it. They extended the hurricane watch east to Freeport, Texas from, I believe, Matagorda. Tropical storm warning has been extended to High Island, Texas, and the tropical storm watch has been extended to eastward to the Sabine Pass, which I believe is in Louisiana. The storm surge watch has been extended to Rutherford Beach in Louisiana. So this is the latest developments right here, the discussion. So at 10 o'clock, it's still a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm at this point. However, aircraft reconnaissance has indicated that there's flight level winds between 40 and 50 knots in the storm, as well as there's also some new SFMR data that's coming in just now that has it above 40, around 44 knots, which is about 50 miles per hour. So we'll have to wait and see on this. So this is just coming in. I've been keeping an eye on the recon. This one, which was at 39 knots, was flagged. They just went to another part of the storm. They found some more flight level winds. They're found the SFMRs right here are about 43-44 knots, which translates to about 50 miles per hour. So we'll have to wait for the National Hurricane Center to wait and see. Just wait and see what they have to say. So they're still going with 40 miles per hour. I think that's about right. I think it's near 45 miles per hour in my opinion. But yeah, the dropsins have let's go back to the dropsins have been coming in on that. So the latest dropsin was about right here. Aircraft is currently right here. The strongest dropsin we had was drop 1, which was right here. Surface winds was at southeast at 41 knots, or about 45 miles per hour. So it's to wait and see. The SFMRs are going back up again, so that's interesting. I'll be keeping an eye on it. Intensity, the models have shifted a lot more. The models are coming up at least to moderate tropical storm at this point. This new one, the OFCL, has it going up to about a 60 or 65 mile per hour tropical storm. Take these models with a grain of salt. This thing is still developing at this point. Take it with a grain of salt. Sorry to get get sidetracked, but Nicholas is still moving at 2 miles per hour at this point. Again, I was hoping that it was just for a couple of hours. That's not happening right now. Its motion has continued for at least the last 4 hours, so not a good sign. Not a good sign. That means it has more time over water, more time to organize, more time to strengthen. If you're anywhere on the Texas coast, be very cognizant. Now is the time to prepare. If you're under a tropical storm warning, start preparing. If you're under a hurricane watch, start preparing. If you're under a storm surge warning and you're in a flood-prone area, evacuate. I repeat, if you're in a flood-prone area or in a storm surge warning and you're very close to the coast and susceptible to flooding, evacuate. So these are the forecast models right here. Most of the models, like the NHC, has it making landfall. Actually, if cone, I can pull up. It shifted a little east from around west of Port Lavaca to Matagorda. However, the majority of these models have it going even further east than that, with some of them even going over Galveston at this point. So I'll be watching this situation very closely. This northward crawl may decide where it makes landfall as well, considering the fact that it's just stalled out at this point. It's basically stalled over the Gulf of Mexico. I hope it doesn't stall for much longer. I hope it starts getting a move on. But yeah, the center of circulation is about right here. Its core is still trying to develop. There's a lot of convective thunderstorms building up right here. Am I saying this is going to just be a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm at landfall? Absolutely not. I don't know what's going on in this storm. That's why there's Hurricane Hunter reconnaissance at this point. They found some flight level winds of around 45 to 50 knots. The SFMRs are matching that, which if the SFMRs are basically that's where the basically the estimated surface winds from the Hurricane Hunter's aircraft. So I'm watching this very closely. So yeah, some of them having. So if it continues this northward crawl, it doesn't keep moving west-northwest. It keeps doing that for the next 6 hours. That could decide if it makes landfall as just a strong tropical storm or a hurricane. If it continues its its northward crawl, it could basically depend where it makes landfall. It basically could, like, how long it's in that 2-mile-per-hour crawl. Like, the longer it's in there, the more time it has over water, the more time it has to strengthen, more time it has to organize. I'm already looking at the satellite imagery. It's looking better by the hour. It's still getting its act together, but now it has that extra time it needs. It's like this thing is just knowing that it's not ready, and it's just basically pumped the brakes and slowed down to give it some time to develop. That's what it feels. That's what it looks like at this point. That's what it feels like. Now, I know in reality that's not true. There are like high pressure systems, low pressure systems, and other factors moving the storm. But this 2-mile-per-hour northward crawl was not expected by anyone. So that's already a bad sign. Storm surge hasn't really changed very much. Still 3 to 5 feet from Matagorda Bay to St. Louis Pass. Still 2 to 4 feet from St. Louis Pass to Rutherford Beach. Well, I extended it now. Now it's 1 to 3 feet from Rutherford Beach to Intercoastal City, and still 2 to 4 feet from the mouth of the Rio Grande all the way past Baffin Bay, Corpus Christi, the Port Aransas, the San Antonio Bay, up to Port O'Connor at this point. So basically, yeah, we know what we don't know at this point. The minimum central pressure has dropped a little bit down to 1,007 from 1,008. So this is indicating that the storm is strengthening at this point. It's not strengthening really fast right now, but because it's moving so slow, it has the time it needs. It's over very warm waters in the Gulf of Mexico. It's over very little wind shear in the Western Gulf. So it has plenty of time to just get its act together, strengthen as it needs to, organize as it needs to. So I'll be watching it very closely. Aircraft reconnaissance has it as the SFMRs. These aren't even flagged at this point. Like this one right here, this was an SFMR around 48 knots, or about the flight level winds are about 55 knots. So that translates to basically this translates to 55 knots translates to about 63 mile/hour flight level winds, and about 47 or 48 knot SFMRs basically translate to, I think, 55 miles per hour. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because to get a knot to mile per hour reading, you times the knot by 1.15. So that's what you get right there. So they're finding some stronger winds at this point. Right now, I'm going with 45 miles per hour. I do not think this is a 40 mile per hour tropical storm. I think it still needs to get its act together, but I don't think it's 40 miles per hour. I think it's more like, my guess is about 45 miles per hour. That's where I would go if I were the NHC, but I'm not the NHC. I'm Pat's Path Predictor. So, anyway, the tropical storm warning's just been extended. The tropical storm watch extends all the way to Louisiana at this point. Still expected to slow down again around the Houston area. That's a new development. It was more up north. Now it's going to slow down the Houston metro area. So that's where I'm suspecting the most rain's going to be. If you're in a flood-prone area anywhere in the Houston metro area, start preparing for the worst. Evacuate if you have to. Once the local officials issue evacuation orders, if they haven't already, get the hell out of there. These storms do not kid. Remember Hurricane Harvey. Remember Tropical Storm Imelda. Get the hell out of there when the local officials tell you to. So back to the satellite presentation. basically, basically just to recap, still a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm by the NHC. There's aircraft recon as of right now that are showing winds higher than that in the storm. So that's pretty interesting. Let's refresh it. Yep, they are finding this in this area of very convective thunderstorms right here. So this could probably be even a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm. I'm not saying it is, but it could. Yeah, this is where the strongest winds are at. So, and this is where the center of location is. So these tropical storms are not just one spot. They are a huge, sometimes a huge area of thunderstorms, just in part of one system. So this is no joke. If you're anywhere on the Texas coast, start preparing. If you are told to evacuate, evacuate. So that's the latest on Tropical Storm Nicholas. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more updates.